Oh, wrong side. Oh, good evening, everybody. And we are live. Hello, everybody. How are we all? We are week 7 of lockdown in the UK. And this is my first live at 5 for the entirety of that time. So I wanted to reinvigorate them. I wanted to come back and talk to you all, to say hello, check in with everybody, and to answer some questions that have been coming up, and to share some information with you about what I've been doing behind the scenes inside the Safeguarding Association. So if you're here, and I'm doing this, I'm trying to do this across a split screen, so it's very interesting right now trying to manage this. But if you're here, give me a like, give me a for some reason it won't let me know you're here, so put your name in the comments, say hi. I'd love to know who is here watching and what's happening. If you're in the Facebook group, that would be fantastic. Just give it a couple of seconds to catch up. So if you're here, please say hello and let me know you're here. I'm just going to try and find it on my phone as well. I'm trying to do 3 things at once, which, let's be honest, is unlikely to end very well at all. So it's showing us live there. It's showing us live on my laptop, but it just doesn't want to show us live on my phone, and I don't know why. All very, very strange, all new fandangled stuff. So if you're here, I'm just asking you to say hello in the comments and to give the video a like, and then we'll dive into the meat of all of this very, very shortly. I'm just trying to see why this isn't showing me the video on my, there we go. I can see myself, which is always a bit of a worry. So yes, if you're here, give me a wave, leave your name in the comments. That would be fantastic. So let me know who is here. All right then, let's just dive in. I'm hoping my backdrop stays on one piece because it's already fallen down once today. So we shall see how that goes. Oh, hi, Carrie. Nice to see you here. Nice to have you with us. Hi, Fiona. Oh, let me shush myself as well, because otherwise that's going to get very annoying very quickly. There we go. So let's dive straight in. I hope everybody's okay. First of all, this has been a really, really weird time for everybody. And I know, certainly from the comments in the group, certainly from some of the conversations I've been having with people up and down the country, that actually for you as safeguarding professionals, or as those working with children and young people on the edge of safeguarding, this has been a really difficult time. trying to figure out how you navigate this new normal, how you manage the situation, what on earth happens, in amongst trying to figure out what the new government guidance is, what it's been saying, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and all of that jazz that goes with it. I have to say I am thrilled by the support that's been given in the group as well. I think you've been absolutely amazing to help each other and to support each other with how things have been going and how fast this all happened. So I think you've done amazingly well to adapt and to keep on top of things. There were a couple of things that came up that I really just want to touch on in today's live at 5. And I'm going to go back to doing these every week as part of this group. So if you do have a question, ask it and I will respond on a Monday evening during live at 5. If you do want more immediate answers to that, then the best place to be is inside the Safeguarding Association, where I'm helping members on a daily basis. But the couple of things we're going to look at. Firstly, there was a comment made around, or a question really, around what to do, particularly in terms of online training, online teaching, online engagement with students. And when we first got into the lockdown situation, there was understandably very, very little guidance, and people were understandably a little cautious about what happened here. So the advice that stretched far and wide was no one-to-ones, make sure you're in multiple groups, and there was a question mark over whether things should be recorded or not. And understandably, this whole having to move into this very new, very scary online world meant that lots of us were trying to fathom things out very, very quickly. And where we are now, my understanding is that lots of you are offering services online. Lots of you who maybe worked one-to-one with young people or children face-to-face have pivoted your businesses and your organisation so that you are doing work in a more one-to-one way online. As you can see from the logo on the video, I'm using Zoom. I love Zoom. I love this platform, but this has not been without its problems over the last 7 to 8 weeks. Thankfully, it appears that those problems have largely been alleviated. However, it's still a platform that lots of organisations are just a little cautious about. Lots of you are now using things like Teams for your meetings. There are others of these platforms out there. There are so many of them, it is ridiculous. So we started in a panic. Where I think we are now is we seem to have settled somewhat. So we've had more guidance out. And really for me, that the key through all of this has been common sense. So it's looking after yourself. It's making sure that you and your staff are making sure that you're doing what you can to protect children and young people. So there were some key learnings coming out of this. And I will be talking to members about this more over the coming weeks as we learn what best practice actually looks like in terms of working in this online space. But some of the big kind of do's are: make sure firstly that the platform you have chosen is the right platform. So if you're using Teams, is it the right one for you? Does it follow all your policies and procedures? If you're using Zoom, is that the right platform for you? If you're using things like GoToWebinar or WebEx or Adobe Connect for your learning platforms, is that the right place for you? And is that the right place for your business? Because not only do we have to think about the safety of our young people, that has to be absolutely paramount in all of this, but we also have to think about the security of our own internal servers from a GDPR and data protection side as well. Unfortunately, that has not gone away in terms of the current pandemic. And whilst the Information Commissioner's Office have said they understand that things are moving at a pace and people have had to react quickly, they are unlikely to use the pandemic as an acceptable mitigation if there are major data breaches and major problems as a result of people moving very, very quickly. So is the platform you're using the right one for you? I'm quite happy using Zoom. I'm quite happy with the security measures that they've put in place now. And I now generally don't do anything without a password to access the setting, to make sure you alleviate things like Zoom bombing that you may have heard of. Has anybody heard of Zoom bombing, by the way? If you have, or haven't, put a yes or a no in the comments. That'd be fantastic. And then I can see how people are feeling about it. If you're watching this on replay, still put a yes or a no in the comments. And if you want to know more about it, then I can look at that next week and just explain a bit more about what some of the problems have been with that. Okay, the next thing to think about, the next kind of golden rule is what's the purpose? So why are you going online? Why are you doing a video rather than, say, something over the telephone, or something that could be set perhaps sent as a PDF, maybe something that could be sent as work that's already set, or stuff for people to do outside of having to be in a face-to-face situation. We seem to have got ourselves into a bit of a situation where, instead of just saying, what's the best method of communicating this? Oh, should we go on a Zoom call? Should we jump on a FaceTime or something like that? Seems to have become the new normal. I don't know about you, but my word, if I've done Zoom training sessions or lots of Zoom meetings, I am shattered by the end of the day, and much more so than I would be if I was teaching all day. So think about, is this the right method to communicate with the audience? So whether that's children, whether it's parents, whether it's staff, is this the right method for me to be using? If it isn't, what is the right method for us to be communicating? Don't forget, you can still send things via email. You can still pick up the phone. You don't have to be in this face-to-face space if that's not the right way to deal with this. If it is the right way to deal with it, then there are some really, really serious things we need to think about to protect the children we're working with and ourselves as professionals. So think about where are you physically going to be when this meeting takes place. Now, when I say meeting, that could be a class, it could be a counselling session, it could be a therapy session, it could be an assessment session, it could be anything. Where physically are you going to be? Now, for those with a slight wry sense of humour, yes, I know you're going to be at home, but where are you going to be? Where is the quietest space for you to be? Where is the space going to be that you can have private conversations without anybody else overhearing? Is that the dining room table? Is it your bedroom? Or is it a space somewhere else in a cupboard that you can have these conversations? You've got to be really careful about where they happen, because you've also got to figure out what's going to be in my background. Now, I know I'm really fortunate that I have a dedicated space at home, because I do lots of recording. So my darling husband and I have this box room that we use, and it's got my backdrop in, it's got all the stuff around it. I shut the door, and thankfully very little is heard outside of these walls. And thankfully there are only two of us in the house now. Hubby's back from working away, and I'm fairly certain that Sam the dog isn't going to be sharing my deepest, darkest secrets anytime soon. If he does, I'm suddenly going to be a millionaire. But it's a really serious point. Where are you going to be physically? Who's going to hear you? And what is in the background? I've shared it before. Some of you who follow me on other platforms may have heard me talk about this, but things like, I'm hearing of people going to the toilet and not turning off their videos or their audio. I'm hearing of people having very serious conversations in a room they thought was nice and quiet, but behind them are all their underpants. I'm hearing of people disclosing where they live unwittingly to students because they've sat somewhere which is a lovely background, but there's a big envelope at the back with all their address on. Things like where children go to school. So there's photographs on the side or on the mantelpiece with their children in uniform. Equally for children, what this pandemic is absolutely reminding us is that despite our best efforts in terms of safer recruitment, there are still professionals or people in roles of with a professional status who are prepared to do anything it takes to abuse young children and to, well, doesn't need to be young children, to abuse children. So are they in situations where have they taken themselves off into their bedroom? What's in the background there? Have they taken themselves off where there are no other adults around? So there's nobody hearing what's going on. Have they taken themselves off? And in the background, you can see the other children of the family. You can see their school uniforms. You can see their pictures quite clearly. What is going on in the background? So be aware of all of that. And then finally, and this shouldn't be a thing, but get dressed. If you are having a session, if you are having a meeting, as a professional, in whatever capacity, we need to be dressed appropriately. Now, we've all seen the videos of people, usually around comic relief time, where you get the newscasters who are kind of dressed from the waist up and there's nothing underneath. That has changed slightly, given lots of newscasters now have to stand up. But what I am hearing an awful lot about, I heard one story of a very senior person who was attending an online interview for a very high-powered job, and she was in bed in her dressing gown. I'm hearing of people wearing vest tops, people wearing pyjamas, nighties to turn up to meetings. This shouldn't be a thing. So from a staff perspective, from a senior person, from your perspective as a practitioner in whatever capacity, make sure you are dressed appropriately. And secondly, in terms of children, we've had some absolutely glorious weather. I don't know about you, but it's been hailing here today. But as the weather warms up again, and given we're unlikely to see any children back at school before June. And in fairness, I know lots of you are not planning on having children back into your organisations or doing face-to-face work with them, probably until late July, if not September. Then you need to think about what is on show for them. So there is a real possibility here that you will end up with people on your screens who may be dressed but are in, maybe boys will be shirtless, maybe girls will be in a bikini top, maybe they'll be in a bandeau top, so there's no straps across the top, it stops here. Depending on where their video is, you might just see this bit, so it may look like they're in a state of undress. It's about making sure that we're sensible here, that we are cautious, and if appropriate, you maybe need to think about turning videos off and asking them to do so. So there's a lot of things you need to be thinking about when working in this space. And we're only just starting to really see the consequences coming through. And it will be a long time before we see the full extent of what's been going on in this current situation. The last point I want to make picks up on a second point that came on as part of the group last week, which is around the taking of images and sharing them on various platforms of group settings. Now, I see this with adults quite a lot. I've seen it with people who are doing online conferences, maybe doing online gatherings, and they're taking they're not even taking a screenshot, they've got their phone and they're taking an angle so that you can see the screen and see what's going on. Data protection and GDPR still applies. So you will need to make sure that you have got permission for those images, and you will need to make sure that you're storing it somewhere safely. This is exactly the same if you are taking photographs with children. Your photo policy still applies, your consents have to be obtained, and you need to be really clear where this is being taken, where it's being stored, and where it's being shared. And the chances are, given everybody's at home, people are not using work mobile phones to do this, they're using their own personal mobile phones, which opens up a whole host of other problems that we know about in terms of storage, sharing, all of that kind of thing going on. So we need to be really vigilant with that. Yes, we're working in a very different way, and we're probably working in a way that lots of us will continue to do so, but we need to be safe and we need to be secure when we're dealing with this. And we must remember that things like GDPR, data protection, safeguarding, none of those things have stopped. They all still exist. They all still have to be paramount considerations. So we have to be taking action that way. If in doubt, take it down, figure out what's going on, and then if necessary or if appropriate, you can re-upload it or put it somewhere else, either suitably redacted or blurred out for various people. But staff certainly shouldn't be taking photographs with their own phone. If you are taking photographs, you need to make sure you're complying with your own policies, your own procedures, and that you've got appropriate consents for all of this. None of that has changed just because we're in a lockdown situation. And if anything, it's heightened so much more than it was previously. So those are kind of my initial thoughts on what's going on. As I say, if you've got any questions, then feel free to ask them in the group. Use the hashtag AskKate. I'm going to be back in here every Monday at 5 to answer your questions. Like I say, if you've got questions that need kind of an answer there and then, or you need some further support, then the best place for you to be is over in the Safeguarding Association, where I'm with members pretty much every day in some sort of capacity, where I can help you out, I can support you the best way I know how. So if that's where you want to be, that's the best place to be if you've got those sorts of questions and queries. If you want more information on that, send me a message and I will send you the information through. But drum roll please, you asked, I answered, and I have been spending most of lockdown figuring out the series and number of policies and procedures that you have been asking for. And I am thrilled to let you know that coming soon will be a template pack. So these will be documents that you can edit, you can use in your own organisations. They are perfect for people who have pivoted their businesses to work more online or to work with young people in a way that you may not have done previously. If you want to get the first access to the template pack when it launches, in the comments, I am going to put the link for you to sign up for those documents. If you're already on my mailing list, then still sign up using this list. If you're not on my mailing list, this will add you to that list, so you'll get the monthly update that I send out to everybody on my email list, which has a bit of information about what's happening inside the association, some training that's going on, and also around the latest news that's been happening in the month previously. So in the comments, I'm going to put the link to sign up to register your interest in the template pack. That is coming soon. So if you are interested, if you want an easy way to have access to some template documents, then this is the place to be. So I'll put the link in the comments below. And if you've got any questions about it, again, feel free to ask in the group or send me an email. But until next week, any questions, use the hashtag AskKate. And if you're interested in the template pack, then use the link I'm going to put in the comments. In fact, I'm going to do that now before we go. So here we go. This is the link to, I put the link in the group for you, in the comments for you to sign up. So let me know how you get on. So until next Monday, I will see you live at 5 on Monday next week. Stay safe and I will see you later. Bye for now.